This is for Missy. Grow up! If you don't understand the criminal con job that the Venus Project is and that the Zeitgeist movement is, why don't you go pick up the internet and go learn? You know, Joe Frisco has a license to sell books and advertise movies about a project that does not exist. That's all he has. He cannot build the Venus Project in a million years. He couldn't even build it. He's not allowed in the United States, Canada, or the Americas. He's not allowed to build the Venus Project. It's against the law. Why? Because it is a half-baked project, which is theory. It has no reality to it. Do you know of any material on the face of the earth that you can build this project with, like the way he advertises it? There is no such material on the face of the earth or the universe. You cannot just, squeeze out apartment buildings the way he talks. It's a lie. There is no such lightweight material that is strong enough to resist the weather, earthquakes, floods. There's no such thing. It doesn't exist. So why would you fall for that kind of stupidity? Why is it that when he got to that point where he tells you we're injecting tube apartments and this and that, and we lift them up a crane, that you didn't go, whoa, what's that material made out of? It's not cement, it's not concrete, it has no metal in it, it can't be plastic, you know, it's horrible. You know, when he tells you about, we're going to get geothermal power, why didn't you go, whoa? No, there's a problem with geothermal power. It causes earthquakes. It's linked to future volcanoes because it's so deep and it causes, and the water that comes out of there is deadly poison. So what are you doing? You know, every time they frack the water, you get deadly poison water coming out. Every time the steam comes off that thing, that's deadly steam. So, you know, when they tell you geothermal is twice as polluting as coal, and hydrofracking for natural gas is worse than coal, and Joe Frisco's promoting that, are you an idiot? Like, tell me, do you walk around with an idiot sign over your head? Oh, my name's Missy, I'm an idiot. I'm too stupid to go out there and learn the basics. How can you support these people? You're a staunch supporter of criminals. It's like going out to support Hitler. We know Joe Frisco can't build the Venus Project. We know he has a license to only advertise. That's why he asks only for people to give money for the movie. Because that's the ripoff. He's still a fucking beggar on the streets begging money as he was when he was 16 years old. He's still begging for food. He's still begging for everything out of your pocket with lies. He's telling you lies. There is no Venus Project. Forget the Venus Project altogether. It doesn't exist. It's not real. It's a lie. If you cannot build one single building of the Venus Project, it's a lie. If you cannot invent the material that they're talking about, it's a lie. If you cannot build these buildings without them falling apart, because there is no such material that exists in the face of America, nothing that he tells you is true. You know, Joe Frisco has permission to advertise Roxanne Meadows' projects, Peter Joseph's project, and somebody else who's a member who's trying to pass off a con job lie about trains going 4,000 miles an hour under the sea. We know that's also a fake project. These are people who are criminals. How can you have a train going 4,000 miles underneath the sea when we have 300 reasons? You know, before they even came up with the concept of a train under the sea, we came up with 300 reasons why it doesn't work. You know, things like, you have to do it in the vacuum. What happens if a window pops out? You just kill everybody in the train. You kill everybody in the train in one split second if one window breaks. If the water is cold all of a sudden at one place and the water is warm at the other, the buoyancy of the tunnel itself goes up and down. The train will go off the track, and at 4,000 miles an hour, it'll go through the wall and then kill everybody. So there's a whole bunch of 300 reasons why these trains don't exist. So if you give money to the 4,000 mile an hour train to make a movie or whatever for them, you're an idiot too. If you gave money to Joe Frisco, you're an idiot. If you gave money to the Venus Project, you're an idiot. If you gave money to anything Roxanne Meadows, you're an idiot. If you went over there and they asked you like a $500 donation, you're a super idiot. Do you understand? These are criminals. They're not doing anything at all. All they're doing is collecting money, putting it in their pockets. That's all they're doing. They're not building the Venus Project. They're never planning to build the Venus Project. There is no Venus Project. Go look. Go find out the facts. The facts are these are criminals. Joe Frisco lied about his whole life. His whole life. Everything that Joe Frisco tells you is a lie. Were there zip guns in 1930? No. Joe Frisco's a liar. Do 16-year-old boys go ask officers to go sleep in a jail cell? No. They get tossed into juvenile hall and they're kept there and they can't escape. That's why kids in Joe Frisco's age and Joe Frisco's youth were scared of police. Terrible, because they get billy clubbed and everything. Because why? 16-year-old boys have no one feeding them. So they go steal everybody's food out of crops and stuff like that. They go sneak into windows, steal pies off of window sills, that kind of stuff. They are criminals. That's why the whole United States freaked out and created a whole new system to protect itself against millions of little criminals like Joe Frisco. Now, Joe Frisco lied about everything. You can go into every one of his stories and you can see that it's a lie. We went to the South Seas and pre-Christian. Another version, they are Christian and they have a church and they put t-shirts on. So we know that's a lie because no one gives beads and no one gives mirrors to natives after 1900, and he's talking about 1945. So we know he's a liar, he's an idiot, and he's a con man, and he takes everyone around him for idiots because you're young. He thinks everyone around him died and he can get away with this stuff, but he can't. Zip guns in 1930? You're a liar, Joe Frisco. Call you a liar to your face. Zip guns were invented in 1945. They were used in 1950, and then they became sort of obscure. So we know you're a liar, Joe Frisco. Everything you say is a lie. Everything you groomed those lies is only to steal money from people, to do what you did all your life. A criminal that goes out there and bums money in the lowest of the lowest and lowest of the ways, lying all the way through. Venus Project, a complete lie. Resource-based economy, stole it straight from Jesus. You ever go read a scripture? The only person in the world that talks about a resource-based economy is Jesus Christ, not Joe Frisco. When there is no money and no politics, that's Jesus Christ, not Joe Frisco. And why does he complain that Jesus is haunting him all his life? Because he's stealing stuff from Jesus. You ever notice the pattern of his Venus Project is almost identical to the pictures that Walt Disney drew of Epcot Center? Did you ever notice that these buildings on the water are exactly the same as Epcot Center buildings on the water? Did you ever notice that, the globe on top of the building is exactly the same as Epcot Center? You never noticed that Joe Frisco is trying to copy Walt Disney in order to get rich like Walt Disney, like he's trying to be like Walt Disney? You never notice these things? Like everybody else seems to notice it. How come you don't notice the basics? How come you don't go check out that, the Venus Project made $28,000 last year in donations. Profit. That's not the $10,000 a show or the books or everything else. Those are profits. That's not the movie, that's not anything else, those are just profit. Joe Frisco comes up with a con job, you give him money, he takes the money, puts it in the bank and pays his hooker there, that little hussy, Roxanne Meadows. Do you ever think about that too? Why did Joe Frisco leave his wife and kids for what? She was 16, 17-year-old girl? The big titty 16-year-old girl made him leave his wife and kids? Think about it. Joe Frisco is 95 years old. Roxanne Meadows is 40 years younger than him. She's been with him for 40 years. Now, that makes her something like 16 to 18 years old when she took him away from his wife. You understand these concepts? What's going on here? Joe Frisco is an example of a loser all through history of his life. He was a loser as a kid. He quit school as a bum. He ran away from school. He stole. He got implicated in a robbery where he gave a note to his buddy, and his buddy went over there and tried to get the girl to give him money. He thought that no guns or nothing will get away with it. That's how he wound up in jail. Wow, you don't fingerprint kids underneath the age of 18 in a man's jail unless you suspect him of a crime. You don't go around telling people, this guy was like the elephant man in the room next door because he got his head beaten in because he was a criminal. Like Joe Frisco stories always get exposed as lies. Right now in Savannah they came up with 3,000 documents, and one of those documents is going to show that Joe Frisco was arrested. You understand? Like in Savannah, they're releasing a whole bunch of historical documents from a whole bunch of families and organizations. And in there, we're going to find out that Joe Frisco was arrested in 1930 as suspicious of stealing this or stealing that. We know he was a pig farmer for a decade at least. He was a pig farmer for the KKK right up until he was drafted into the war. He was a fascist right up until he was drafted to the war to fight fascism. So Jacques Briscoe, really freaky man. Really, really, really freaky man. Go learn the truth. He's a con man. Never give them money.